Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to be doing a stock analysis of Aurora Innovation. Now, if you know what they make autonomous trucks like this. Now, personally, I do think autonomous trucks like this are going to be much better than autonomous driving. Of course, you have some companies like Uber and Waymo and Tesla, but the problem with cars is they drive in the city, and trucks like this only drive on the highways, which means it's much easier to make. Now, if we take a look at the stock real quick, let me make each candle a day. As you can see, it hasn't been the best stock to own. As you can see, it was first publicly traded at 10 bucks and currently trading all the way 50% down at 5.34. As you can see, it quickly spiked all the way up here in 17 and then quickly fell all the way back down here to just above $1, and it was quite far down for quite a while. Now, it had seen increase quite rapidly in price, especially late last year and early this year. We were trading all the way up here in 10.8 again, and ever since it has traded a bit downwards. Now, I recently just bought a huge chunk of this, and it is my largest position in my portfolio because we recently just saw an analysis that said this company is gonna, well, not this company, this sector of autonomous driving that's worth $130 million this year is going to be worth $17.8 billion in 2030, and they're estimated to have 5% of the market, which means this market cap should be 50 million. Yeah, no, 50 billion, not million, which is why I think this price should be up quite a lot higher. Beta on this is relatively high at 1.93. This means it is a relatively volatile stock. That means if the index moves 1%, this is going to move 1.93%. So of course, be wary of that. Now, something you should also be a bit wary of is, as you can see right here, the earnings is in 7 days, and in small companies like this with only a $10 billion market cap, earnings can really move the stock upwards or downwards. Now, luckily for us, it has been trading a bit sideways recently. I think that's in anticipation of this earnings report. As you can see, the volume is also a lot lower than normal. The average volume is 16 million stocks traded each day, and currently we're only at 4.6, which shows us that a lot of investors are really just sitting waiting. Should I buy more or should I sell? Now, if you look at the earnings, as you can see right here, it is still negative, and that is of course because they don't have that many customers yet. As well as looking at earnings, look at this self-driving technology. They used to make a little bit of money on it recently, not recently, back in the day, but they haven't made any money 23 or 24. But I think they're going to make a lot of money in the future. It is why it is one of my largest bets. Now, if we look at the overview, we can see they have surprisingly little debt and a huge ton of cash. And the reason they have so much cash is their two main partners are FedEx and Amazon. And of course, that is amazing because that is both two huge shippers, which of course is nice to see. Now, they have a ton of employees, and I do think that is quite nice, of course, because that means they have a ton of people working on it, and they have so deep pockets. So I like it I prefer when companies hire their own employees rather than using subsidized companies. Now, they do have, however, a relatively large amount of closely held shares. These are shares that cannot be sold, and I believe a large part of this is FedEx and Amazon who are getting shares for money. So, of course, that's something you should be wary of, because let's say everyone who has their closely held shares want to sell this, well, then everyone else is going to be diluted just a bit. Now, the price to sales also currently is at 9,496. That is insanely high. Of course, be quite wary of that, of course, because price to sales can sometimes show a stock is in a bit of a bubble. But I do like this over other, say, AI companies. This isn't AI per se. That's because they have a real-world application, which is autonomous trucking, and not just some website or something like that. Now, if you look at the seasonals as well, as you can see right here, if we look at back to 2021, we have some years with quite poor performance. 2022 down by almost 90%. This year we're down by 12%. Some other years like 2021 up by 12%. 2023 absolutely crazy. Now, if we take the average, however, we are still down by 11% if you have held this stock an all time. So overall, it isn't the best stock to own, but then again, it rarely is in these very small companies. So if you want to buy a company like this, you really need to have high risk parameters. I personally do. Now, the technicals of this for the day is a sell, and for the month it is a buy. And the reason for that is, even though it is still trading downwards a bit, we have seen some upward potential here, and we're also in the upper bracket here of the RSI relatively often. Now, if you look at the 1 year estimated price, as you can see, that is up by 91%. That is 10.22. So of course that is nice, and the max rating is at 15 bucks. Within a year, I do think that might be a bit too much, unless of course we see something interesting and the earnings. But overall, we have 5 strong buy and 5 hold, which is quite nice. Now, the annual earnings, as you can see right here, they're estimating they're still going to be negative for quite a while. But in the revenue as well, look at this. They're estimating to guide so much more quite quickly. They're estimates to make $4 million this year. In 2028, 888 million. That is so much more money. So of course, it is insanely cheap now. So if they can continue on this, it's going to be an insane stock to own. And I think that is personally, if I want to say a billionaire mega, Aurora Innovation is my personal bet on it. I want to say in 2030, I do think this stock could definitely be trading at about $50. That is 10 times up from now. Of course, I'm saying in a 5-year span. That is also why I own quite a lot of it. I'm just going to be holding. If it falls, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, because it is relatively high at the moment. But if it could fall to 3, maybe 3.5, I'm just personally going to buy up some more. Now, of course, I can't tell you what to do. Of course, always do your own due diligence. Now, that was my analysis on Aurora Innovation. If you like this, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And of course, if you want to see any other videos like this, please leave the companies you want me to analyze in the comment section below.